Good morning, Scott Talley with Network in Action here with my good friend and buddy that I met through just getting out there and building relationships, Mr. Tim Goering. Tim is a franchise owner at Sandler Sales Training and super glad to have you on. Tim says, "What should I talk about?" And I go, "Man, we're just going to have some fun." So welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Much appreciated.
I know that anybody that starts this podcast will finish it because this is two old sales guys going to just talk about sales. How's that?
That sounds easy.
What were you doing before Sandler?
Wow, that's a hard question for me. It's going to sound like I'm making it up, but I'm like in the third period of life. If you like the hockey game on Sunday, right? So the first trimester of my professional career, I went to the Naval Academy, and then I was flying helicopters, doing insertion and extraction and search and rescue in the United States Marine Corps. So nothing to do with sales. The second trimester of my career, I was in wealth management. So I was a bank president of a federally chartered startup bank. In my last corporate job, I ran the bank in New York, Mellon, for the state of Florida. Wow. And now here I am. The last 12 years, I've been a sales coach. So that's three very different things.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think the banker thing would have set you up, but I've certainly gotten to know you over the last 4 or 5 years, and I know what a great salesperson you are, but just so knowledgeable about Sandler and such a great teacher and instructor. And that's why I was looking forward to talking today. So let's talk for a minute about entrepreneurs. I always say, I don't care what you're doing, you better be able to sell. You know, my daddy used to say, I don't have a pot to, you know what, in and a window to throw it out of. But he always told me, boy, if you can learn to sell, you'll always be able to feed your family. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you might as well just get used to the fact that you're better off if you can sell. Am I right?
Yeah, I think you're right. But, I like to mess with that definition a little bit because, when I was a cool Marine aviator, the thought of selling something to somebody was a bad word. So yeah. I think of it more as missionary work than mercenary work. In other words, you're not trying to sell something to people that don't need it. I'm a big believer in find the challenge, sell the chill. In other words, be a missionary. Find out what people are looking for, go get it and bring it to them. You definitely should be compensated for that sales also.
Yeah. And it has transformed over the last 40 years. I mean, 40 years ago, all they taught was closing, right? Always be closing.
Yeah.
And how
everybody hates salespeople.
Sorry?
I said that's why everybody hates salespeople.
Yeah.
Right? When you were a kid and your mom said, "What do you want to be when I grow up?" You didn't say a lying, sleazy, manipulative salesperson. That's for sure. We have that negative connotation because of those people that are trying to sell people things they don't need.
Yeah, I have my favorite sales stories over the years. Back when I was single, I didn't get married the first time, but I was 43 and I was divorced at 43 in a week.
Oh boy.
But the first, I think I was 39 or 40 years old and I was on a car lot, single, and I looked over and there was a minivan that was like, I don't remember at the time, 30,000. I thought, wow, how the hell could a minivan cost so much money? So I jumped in this car to see what a minivan was like. Now I'm single. I'm not about to buy a minivan, but that car salesperson saw me in there and what did he do? He jumped right in, started to try to sell me that minivan. And I let him go on and on and on before I just embarrassed him. Right? And that was sales.
Yeah.
Never ask a question.
Nope.
How has it changed besides just the fact that we don't look at salespeople as in the same light as we used to? We're not always working on closing.
Well, if you don't mind me pushing back just a little bit, I would say for the best salespeople, it hasn't changed much. And I'm a big believer in the Sandler Selling System. That's that's the methodology that I use, and it's been around for 58 years. 58 years backed up by why it works. 58 years of communicating with clients, finding out, hey, what's hard? Are you having trouble communicating? Are you having trouble opening? Are you having trouble discovering what their challenge is? Do you not like talking about money? Can you not get to the decision maker? Are you having trouble closing? Right. But it starts with that other stuff that I just said. If you're having trouble closing, it's probably because you skipped all that other stuff. So for 58 years, Sandler's just been asking our clients, hey, what's hard about what you do? And then how do we prevent that? And then how do we deal with it if it happens anyway? And so we've been assessing on it for 58 years. I don't know what sales was before that, but I would say it hasn't changed much in our world. But what's changed is we're breaking the paradigm. Sales doesn't even be a negative thing.
Right. Right. So I love to talk about one of the areas that you really excel in, and that's providing people a place to practice. Talk about, I've heard you talk about why we practice and other places that people practice, and how that looks in sales.
Well, I'm a big believer in practice. I grew up an athlete, and you didn't get good enough to play soccer at the United States Naval Academy without practicing a little bit. I like to play guitar, and you can't just pick up a guitar and play unless you're a savant. And most people will agree practice is a good thing for something that they love. But apparently, most salespeople don't love their job enough to practice that opening, to practice differentiating themselves from the competition, to practice communicating to different people. And I do believe in it. I believe, what did Malcolm Gladwell say? 10,000 hours to get
Yeah.
perfect at it.
Yeah.
I also believe in the 100-hour rule, which is a lot less than 10,000, which is if you practice something, anything, for 16 and a half minutes a day, in a year, that'll be 100 hours. And you'll be better than 95% of the other people on the planet that try to do that, only because you put in 16 minutes a day. And I challenge anybody, pick up a guitar if you've never played guitar before and practice 16 minutes a day for a year. I'll bet you can play 100 songs by the time you're done.
You know what, Tim? I heard you say that a few weeks ago, and we're Catholic, and I had the kids. We were talking about what they were going to do for Lent, and so I got them all three to commit to 17 minutes a day or something.
Yeah.
And you were only a week into it, but it's amazing to see. It's a lot easier for them to chew off, or any person, 17 minutes, right?
You would think. But here's the good news. Because people don't like to be judged, because they don't want to fail, they don't practice. And I'll give you a metaphor that I give people all the time. If I told you, hey, Scott, I'm going to come by your office in 10 days, and I'm going to give you one chance to make a 10-foot putt. And if you make that putt, I'm going to give you $10,000. What would you do between now and 10 days from now?
You go practice the hell out of that putt.
Here's the good news, though. Most people, they'll go with, I already got it, or I'm not going to get better in 10 days. They get all their excuses right out of that great book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that was published in 1937. Yeah. All the 55 most common alibis in the back. But if you did practice, you'd have a chance. Most salespeople, they can make $10,000 in commission in their next big closing deal, but they won't practice it. And the reason I said that's good news is because I believe in practice. Our clients believe in practice. And if you practice, you have not just a little edge, you have a huge advantage over the competition.
Yeah. And Sandler does that well in two ways. So one of the things you introduced me to that we participate in, talk about the new technology with AI that people can basically purchase through you. I know we're not here to sell, but I love this tool. I've told so many people about it. I don't want people to not know about it. So talk about that a few minutes.
So we have a thing that's called the Sandler AI Role Play Coach. And it was developed by a company called Udily, but we put all the Sandler chassis in there. So all the techniques that we've been coaching and refining over 58 years reside on that chassis. So you can practice. And by the way, practice on your phone or in the comfort of your living room, wherever your computer resides at home, not with somebody else who's going to judge you. So everything, it'll capture ums and ahs, but it'll take you right through it. Hey, I got to talk about money. Here's how I'm going to do it. I've got to have my 7 base questions to get to the decision maker. Once I discover that somebody's got a challenge, I need to ask at least 9 questions to demonstrate that I'm interested in their challenge. And you can do that all in the safety of this computer that'll then grade you based on how you did on that particular subset of your sales that you're working on. You could even upload a video. We could upload this video when we're done and have the AI tool analyze how we did. Did Tim have a bunch of speech whiskers? Did he say right or or to tell you the truth? What is he doing that's getting in the way of him closing that deal? And the computer can analyze it. Then you can send it to your favorite mentor. I can say, hey, Scott, check out this AI role play coach that I just used for overcoming the price objection. The computer thinks I did well. How do you think I did? and we can program it for your specifics, whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah. So let me give a little testimonial how it's shaped, completely changed our company and training. I haven't told you this, but Tim introduced this to me probably 8 or 10 months ago, and we purchased a few of them. And now every month when we have a new franchise owner, instead of waiting for that Friday to role play, which everyone hated, and taking a bunch of time, on the first night of training, we start assigning little homework assignments for them to do on the Sandler bot, and they send that into our trainer, and our trainer is able to give them feedback. So as they're learning to chew this little hamburger each night, they're practicing, and then they keep that bot for a couple of months so we can continue to work with them. And it's so funny, Tim, there are still people who resist. So what I found out a few months ago, there were people who would purchase a franchise, $35,000. Think about this. They purchased it to follow a model, and they weren't using the bot to put that information in. So now, before I sell you a franchise, I say, Tim, I want to make sure you're going to follow the model. Yes, that means you're going to role play for 5 nights minimum from day one, and let us give you feedback. And if they wiggle, hesitate, I know they're not going to follow a model. So it's had a revolutionary impact on network and action. And we're noticing those people that didn't use the bot aren't getting off to as fast a start. So we're going to increase the use of the bot as we go forward. I think it's actually helped me sell franchises because I'm able to say, look, we're going to get you ramped up if you'll do your part. So if anyone's looking for that, how would they reach out to you to get access or an explanation or some information about the bot?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tim Goering. It's right underneath my name right there. There aren't a lot of us in the world. You can watch some videos on it right on there on LinkedIn. Tim.Goering at Sandler.com, Sandler. You can reach out there. You could even shortcut it if you want to. We have a book out there. What? I had it upside down. I love this book. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. What? To me, the title kind of says it all. Turns out how well you ride your bike is directly related to how much you practice riding your bike. The book's been around a lot longer than the Sandler AI roleplay tool has been around.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And you've also got an opportunity where people can come to you and practice. So again, we know how important this is. And if you're a salesperson watching this and you want to make more income, you want to have a higher quality of life, you want to have more deals in the pipeline, what are you doing? I mean, what are you going to do? You can do nothing, but you've also got an opportunity. So talk a little bit about where you make available to people on a weekly basis.
So the cool thing about Sandler is our whole mantra is information and education will only take you so far. So you can read the book, you can watch the videos, but until you do application and then modification, in other words, you got to try it. So we get together. I get together with my clients every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. There's usually about 50 people on the call. We'll introduce a new topic, like introducing yourself effectively in less than 30 seconds. And then we'll go to a breakout room and practice it. Or meeting somebody at a networking event and asking them the appropriate questions so that you could properly introduce them using our same formula in less than 30 seconds in a way that has impact. And then you got to practice it. And so, that's the secret sauce really is we've got a systematic way of tackling every challenge that could come your way in sales. And then we practice it in a safe environment where there's nothing at stake except your pride.
Yeah. I think it's so important what you just said. I want to repeat it. I've read probably every sales book out there that's worth its salt, right? And I get tidbits and morsels, and this is the way I make my living. I eat what I kill, right? So I want to be great at my craft. But you're right. When you send someone a podcast or when you send somebody a book to read, there's just so much value. Go hear a speaker. There's just so much value that they're going to get, and it's limited compared to actually getting the marbles out of your mouth, getting some feedback, doing it better the following week, right?
That's really what it's all about. And Scott, this probably happened to you. It happens to me all the time. You'll say something by accident and you're like, whoa, that really seemed to resonate. That person really seemed to grab onto it. And then you don't write it down and you don't think about it for a week. You can't even remember what you said. That is a nightmare to me. If I say something that has impact, I want to be able to capture that so I can say it again and again and again because it works.
Cool. You are so right. I remember years ago, I used to manage sales departments for Chamber of Commerce's and Better Business Bureaus. And I had the number one salesperson in the country, Tim. And all of a sudden, he just went on the skids. He couldn't close a door. He couldn't get a little $375 deal home for anything. And he was frustrated. I said, let me go see what the hell's going on. And so I went out, went on a call with him and I watched him. And he was handing people literature from the opening comments. Now, here, you'll want to read that and you'll want to take a look at this. And when you get time, maybe follow through on this. And of course, he didn't get the sale. This was a one call close, pretty much. They were either going to do it or not. And I walked out and I said, you're setting people up. Have you always done that? Did you become number one in the country? He goes, hell no, I never did it. I don't even know when I started doing it. This is a guy who'd been selling memberships for years. Right. But you're right. There's little nuances that hurt us. And there's things that we can do to really move the needle in our favor.
Oh, so true. So true. And, it's funny that people, they don't give that any consideration. Is there a systematic way that I can take them from hello to gosh, Tim, I really want to hear more about what you've got? And if the answer is yes, then why wouldn't you give that some consideration and then practice it a little bit so you can use it? Because imagine if sales was back to right in the beginning you're talking about, imagine if sales becomes you just log on to their website and you just order everything you want. When I started this profession 12 years ago, my youngest was 15 years old. She's like, well, Dad, what if the economy goes bad? Are you going to be in trouble? And I said, baby, if the economy tanks and all we have is beef jerky and water, then your dad's going to teach the beef jerky people how to trade for water and the water folks to trade for beef jerky. Sales is not going away. Yeah. And you can't, nowadays, AI is so prevalent that you got to wonder, who wrote that? Did the AI bot write that or was that a human? So before I buy anything, I'm not going to look at a brochure. I'm not going to look at a website. I want to talk to a human being that can look me in the eye and say, hey, this has worked for others and it may work in your case too. What are you worried about? Let's talk it through.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question I've struggled with for years, and I know you're going to have an answer that's probably going to clear it up. Can anyone be taught to sell?
Oh, that's like the Pygmalion project, right? Are salespeople born or are they bred? So let me tell you, I used to think, and this is vanity speaking, right? I used to think that I was a born salesman because people told me that. Well, Tim, yeah. You're friendly, you're engaging, anybody will buy from you. I'm a big believer they can be bred. And here's what I mean. I talk to people that are slow-paced and analytical, that are slow-paced and inclusive of everybody around them, that are fast-paced and gregarious and open-minded, and that are fast-paced but very task-oriented that don't want to hear about your weekend. And I believe now, after working in this industry for 12 years with lots of different salespeople, that anybody can be taught to sell. It's like Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survives. It's the most adaptable to change. Same things here. It's not the strongest communicators that are great at sales. It's the communicators that will adapt, modify their communication style to get their point across to whoever it is they're communicating with. Mm-hmm. And anybody can work on that. That's what's awesome about it. When you change the way you communicate with people, you actually change the people you're communicating with. And that to me is remarkable.
Yeah, we have a franchise owner that I was worried about, had never really had sales experience, didn't know how they were going to build a community. One of them was a school teacher, and one of them was a nurse. And they've done very, very well. And I think the reason they've done well is because they basically have a basic empathy about them. That they can, translates on a sales call. They're there to help and see how they can help the customer.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. I would argue that the people with the most empathy can be the best salespeople, unless they fall into the trap of taking the client's side. Like, oh gosh, I want to give you a discount because you sounds like you really need what we have. It's okay to charge people for your goods and services. Empathy is and by the way, there are also people that don't have any empathy. They're thinking about themselves and their family, and that's okay too. And they bulldoze over people instead of listening. So if you can combine those two human beings, somebody who is a natural listener with somebody who maybe isn't a natural listener, but now sees the value in it. Don't just should all over people. That's HR leader because I said should. Like, I'm going to watch Netflix tonight. You know what you should watch? I'm going to Italy. You know where you should go? We can't help but to give people advice. Maybe we should ask them first. Are you open-minded to another point of view on that? Because if they're already set in their ways, then just do some listening.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go here, I want to say, so you've got the bot you can offer people and you've got the weekly training, the weekly practice, but you also can work like, let's say I've got a company with 8 or 10, 12 salespeople. You can work with that company individually with their salespeople. Is that correct? Or are you still doing that within this framework of the Sandler?
Yeah, there's two main models in Sandler. One is public, like Tuesday morning one. So there'll be 50 professionals on that call from lots of different industries with a lot of things in common. They're all trying to get better at communicating, listening, and asking questions. Now, if somebody had 10 or more, typically is where the delineator is, 10 or more sales professionals that they would like to train in-house, then we can jump on a Zoom call with just their team. We can modify everything that we talk about to their world. Here's the trick. It's not that significantly different than this universal book that you can read, but now I can handle objections. Most clients, when they come to me, you don't understand, Tim. It's all about price in our world. And I'm like, oh, they don't care how well you fulfill the order once you give them a good price. They don't care about quality. They don't care if you take twice as long to deliver it as you told them you were gonna. And they're like, well, no, they do. And I'm like, well, which is more important? What if let's say you were going in for heart surgery? Do you care about price or quality? Oh, wow. Yeah. And they'll try to make it out. Well, let's apply it to plumbing. Is it any different in plumbing than heart surgery? They're both pumps. Yeah, I care if you're coming into my home to fix my plumbing that you do quality work.
Sure.
Not all right.
No. I've been on with Tim probably 8 or 10 times now where he's been a featured speaker for our Network in Action sales training or speaker series. And I've never yet, every single time I'm with you, I learned something new. And I thought I knew everything about sales before I met you. But the reality is you don't, you never do. And you have to practice and you got to keep putting yourself in the arena. To that fact, congratulations. I saw where you are a featured speaker at the Sandler Sales Training. How many Sandler, there's a couple hundred, 250 franchises out there?
Yeah, 250 franchises worldwide. And I think what you're talking about there is the Sandler Summit. Yes. We get together once a year. We invite all of our clients to come too. So if you want to prey on our clients and see what it's all about, here's what I would say. It's in Fort Lauderdale, and I am one of the speakers this year. And we usually have about 1,200 professionals there. And you can go down the track you want: sales management, sales, customer service. You can listen to the speakers that'll address the challenge that you've got. And what's cool about that, the thing I ask people is, hey, don't take my word for it. Invest a whole bunch of money and time and effort learning this. Go around and ask, hey, how come your company has been coming to these Sandler Summits and using this practice and sales training stuff for 10, 15 years? Why don't you quit? Yeah. Are you slaves? Did they wrap you up in a cool contract? That's the neat part.
Yeah, I tell you, I was disappointed because as soon as I saw it, I thought, first of all, great idea to invite clients. I know you guys do that in Action Coach. We're going to look at doing that next year ourselves at Network in Action. It coincides with our franchise summit this year, but I can promise you next year I'm going to find the date ahead of time and make sure I don't have a conflict, because I'm really would look forward to coming and watching it. So,
well listen, you can sign up for the virtual version, and then you'll have all the recordings. So whether you sign up for live or virtual, you can listen to Tim Goering while you're trying to get to sleep at night.
Yeah, it's like Tim and I don't do energy drinks.
Right. All right, well, got DNA for that.
Tell us how the best way to reach you. I certainly appreciate your time and your contribution to everything you're doing as small and medium-sized businesses, big businesses all over the country to help them grow sales and change the world. So what's the best way for people to reach you?
You can reach me at tim.goring@sandler.com, or if you can't remember all that or you spell Goring wrong, Making Luck is my other email, makingluck@yahoo. So I believe Making Luck is present tense. You got to decide, what are you going to do today that's going to bring the result into your world that you were hoping for? Making Luck@yahoo. I'll get right back to you. I answer every email within 24 hours.
That he does. Tim, great to see you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you so much. Appreciate your friendship and all your knowledge.
Well, thanks, Scott. I enjoy sparring with you. I learn something every time I'm with you too.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Take care, Scott.